Today is Thursday, February 7th, and we are doing lesson 4.9. Our learning goal today says, I can solve word problems by finding a fraction of a measurement. So we're going to do what we did yesterday where we're finding a fraction of a whole number, but we're going to see how that relates to finding using measurements today, okay? But first let's talk about the problem of the day. As promised, today we're going to be finding a fraction of a measurement. 1/4 of a pound is a fraction of a measurement. It's a fourth, that's the fraction, and the measurement is a pound. And we want to find out how many ounces are in 1/4 of a pound. So go ahead and start by writing that down. In our head, we know that we're dealing with two kinds of measurements, pounds and ounces. So we need to think and write down to remind ourselves that 1 pound is the same thing as 16 ounces. There's nothing you can do to learn this other than to memorize it. I said this way back in Module 1 when we first started working on measurements, so hopefully by now you're like, yeah, duh, Miss O, I know that 1 pound is the same thing as 16 ounces. If you don't, now's really the time to commit that to memory, okay? This is a unit conversion, and every time we do unit conversions, we do it in the same way. We start out by copying what the original problem says, 1/4 of a pound. Then we break out the 1/4 and we make it a copy of 1 pound. You'll notice that we start with the original type of measurements. 1/4 of a pound is the same thing as 1/4 times 1 pound. Do you agree? 1/4 of a pound is 1/4 times 1 pound. Yes? You'll notice we always start with the original number. 1/4 goes here, and then the original unit is right there. Then we know we still are finding 1/4 of something, but we want it to be equivalent. We know that we're trying to get to ounces, so we want to go to ounces. Everything inside our parentheses, 1 pound, needs to be equivalent to what's in the parentheses here. 1 pound is the same thing as 16 ounces. So we can do this by doing 1/4 times 16, which then is 1 times 16 over 4, or 16 over 4, which is 4 ounces. So we know now that 1/4 of a pound is the same as 4 ounces. Let me show you how that works on the tape diagram. We originally had 1 whole pound, which is the same as 16 ounces. We're trying to find 1/4 of it, so I split it into 4 units. 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm trying to find 1 of those fourths. So again, 4 units will equal 16 ounces, and therefore 1 unit is 16 over 4, which is 4 ounces. See how this is exactly the same kind of math that we've been doing? The only difference is you now need to be able to relate that to units of measurement. Mr. Corsetti spends 2/3 of every year in Florida. How many months does he spend in Florida each year? Write down number 1, what the question's asking, and number 2, the important information. Go. This question wants us to find out how many months Mr. Corsetti spends in Florida. Very good. What important information do we get to figure that out? Sawyer? Very good. So basically, we are trying to find out 2/3 of a year is equal to how many months? Do you see how this question basically is this problem? Very good. Let's do it using the unit conversion way this time. So 2/3 of a year is equal to 2/3 copies of how many years? 1 year. Okay, now we want to convert it to months. So we know our 2 units are months and years. So what do we need to think in our head? 1 year is equal to? 12 months. Some of these are easy because you literally live years and months, right? You know. But some of them are not as easy, right? So you got to memorize these. Very good. Which brings me to my next step. That's going to equal to 2/3 copies of how many months, everyone? 12. Okay, very nice. So how can I write that as one multiplication problem? Rashita? 2 times 12 over 3. Very good. Do we see any common factors, Lucas?
12 and 3.
12 and 3 are both divisible by?
3.
3. So I can divide 12 by 3 and get?
4.
And I can divide 3 by 3 and get?
1.
Therefore, my new problem is 2 times 4 over 1, or 8 months. So we can see that Mr. Corsetti spends 8 months of the year in Florida. Let's see how that would look in a tape diagram. Okay, we're trying to find out 2/3 of a year is equal to how many months. So my entire piece of tape would be 1 year, because that's my original thing, right? Or it's also equal to 12 months. The fraction tells me I need to divide that into how many units? Everyone? 3 units, because my denominator is 3. How many of those units am I concerned about? 2 of them, because the numerator is 2. Very good. How many units do I have all together in my piece of tape, Rahi? 3 units, and that gets the value of 12 months. How come I want to say 12 months and not 1 year? Because ultimately, I want my answer to be in months. Does that make sense? So pick the one you want your answer to be in. How can I find out what the value of 1 unit is? Lydia?
12 divided by 3.
Which is 4. That means this unit is worth 4 months, this one's 4 months, and this one is 4 months. Paulina, how many units am I actually trying to find, though?
2.
2. So I have to find out 2 units. And Paulina, what math equation could I do to find out the value of 2 units?
4 times 2.
4 times 2, which is 8 months. Very good. So once again, we have proven that both the tape diagram and the unit conversion method yield the same answer.